What's going on, everybody? It's Sean, and today at Reactions to the Classics, I'm going to take a look at Def Leppard's Pyromania album. If it's your first time stopping by the channel, I want to thank you so much for giving us a look. We do reviews of some of the most classic albums of all time. We put up rankings of songs and artists. We also do some live streams. So if you like what you see here, please hit that big red subscribe button. Also check us out. We have a great community on Facebook, as well as give our Patreon a look. For as little as $1 a month, you can kind of kick in and help us out. We would really appreciate it. Let's jump right in. Well, this is their third studio album. It was released in January of 1983. Their first two albums were more hard-hitting. This album, about half the songs would have fit on one of those albums. The other half would fit on Hysteria, their massively successful follow-up. Mutt Lange, AC/DC's producer, joins him on this album. He was also with them on the last album. He became so involved in this album, he actually gets songwriting credit. He was a very big perfectionist, so much so that Joe Elliot, the lead singer, actually almost lost his voice when they first started recording this from the multiple takes. Also, founding member Pete Willis was fired for being so drunk he couldn't play the songs about halfway through recording, and Phil Collen was brought in. The group was also over $100,000 in debt, so a lot of things surrounded going into the studio for this album. It's kind of a make or break for them. It took over a year to record and mix and write, so they had that pressure on them as well. But sometimes with pressure, we rise up, and that's what they did with this album. It stalled at number 2 in the US on the charts, but it's because it was stuck behind Michael Jackson's Thriller. It's in the top 10 for 78 weeks, and it sold over 10 million albums, which is diamond certification, which was almost impossible to get. You never get it in today's world of downloadable music. But the follow-up, Hysteria, also sold over 10 million, making Def Leppard one of only 5 bands to have 2 diamond selling albums. This album also made them massively popular in the US. It only went to number 18 in the UK, by the way, which I found interesting. But in the US, in a 1984 Gallup poll, Def Leppard was named the #1 favorite rock band in America. So this is the album that really started doing, and then Hysteria, the follow-up, takes them over the top. We're going to start this album out with Rock Rock Till You Drop, exactly what it sounds like. It's a hard-hitting song. The lyrics are probably about this guy visiting a brothel, I guess. It doesn't matter. You're in this thing to hear this thing just rock, and it starts out that way. It's a wonderful opening track. That's going to get us to Photograph. Now, that's the first time I ever heard Def Leppard, in the summer of 1983. And when I heard that, I thought, wow, it's a little different than Michael Jackson, the stuff I was listening to at that time in my life. And after that, I was kind of hooked on the glam rock, hard rock, heavy metal, whatever you want to call that 80s music that I grew up on. The song, I think, is about he's looking at a photograph of a girl that he wants to be with, and he's in love with her, but he knows he's never going to be with her. She's probably a celebrity. Joe Elliot, who wrote it actually later on, said, well, it was kind of just about something you can't obtain, so that kind of fits with that. So the second you hear the opening riff of this song, you know exactly what it is. It's Photograph, Def Leppard. That takes us on to the third track, Stage Fright. Kind of cool on this because at the beginning of the song, you have some crowd noise that comes in later on, so you feel like they're playing a live show. They're not. It's a little hard rocky and changes a little tempo during the chorus, which is kind of something that they're going to play out more and more throughout this album. And then Hysteria, they kind of figured out this formula that kind of worked with people. That brings us to Too Late for Love, so we're going to quiet it down a little bit here. They'd written the music for it. They couldn't come up with the words, and then Joe Elliot remembered a song, This Ship Sails Tonight, and he brought those lyrics and put them with this music, and it worked for him. And next up is Die Hard the Hunter. We're really going to shift here because the lyrics on this song are outstanding. It starts out with a helicopter going, and it pans from the left to the right. If you're listening to it in headphones, that's a pretty cool effect, and it draws you in right away. The song itself, if you don't pay attention to the lyrics, it's just a rockin' song. It's fine. It doesn't stand out. But I invite you to go read the lyrics because Joe said it was inspired by the movie The Deer Hunter, which is about a Vietnam vet who has PTSD, and it unfolds throughout these lyrics. There's no more war going on. The only war going on is in your head. And later on in the song, he basically hunts down the singer and I guess kills him because he just can't get out of what's happened to him. A great lyrical journey that I very much enjoy, and that's going to take us to Foolin, which was a single along with Photograph, and then the song after this, Rock of Ages. I was very familiar with Foolin, has a nice little formula. She fooled him, he fell for it. That's kind of the premise of the song, but it shifts tempos nicely. The chorus really sticks out in your head. I very much enjoyed it. And next up is the iconic Rock of Ages. It went to number 16 on the charts in America. Photograph went to number 12, but I think Rock of Ages is the song that they're more known for off of this album, partly because of the beginning of the song. It starts out with Gunter, Gleben, Glotten, Globen, and what that is, it's a nonsensical German-sounding word, and it's Mutt Lange that's saying it. I told you at the beginning he was a perfectionist, so he always counted in the songs 1, 2, 3, 4. They recorded the song so many times he got tired of saying that, so he just started saying nonsensical stuff. When they went back to edit the song, they loved the way it sounded, and they just put it in at the beginning. Then you have Joe talking, and he says, all right, I've got something to say. And then he says, it's better to burn out than to fade away. And those last two lines are from a Neil Young song in 1978, and they're also found in the suicide letter of Kurt Cobain. So those words are very iconic. Then we get into the song. He sings about pyromania in there, so he ties the title of the album in there. At the very end, you hear a match strike. Also on the guitar solo, it's backmasked. So if you've got a vinyl LP, an original one, and you spin it back the other way, it says F the Russians, because we're in the Cold War here, it's 1983, and Brezhnev, who was the head of Russia, it says Brezhnev got herpes. So I don't know why the boys decided to throw that in there, but it's a little thing they threw in there. That's going to bring us to track number 8, Coming Under Fire. Basically, the girl's playing hard to get. Joe wants to hook up with her. Track number 9, Action, Not Words. He wants her to make a sex tape. There's no way to PG-13 that. That's what the song's about. He wants action, not words. Those two songs are fine. They're rocking. It's what you would expect out of a hard rock album. There's nothing stand out on it. And then we're going to close out this album with Billy's Got a Gun. It finishes out the B-side. Interesting that Die Hard the Hunter finishes out side A, because the lyrics on this song, I also invite you to go read. Basically, Joe says later on, it was kind of about he imagined a guy who got in with the wrong crowd, was maybe going down to the New York subways and getting his own vengeance. Billy's got a gun. You better watch out, because he's going to start shooting people. The song actually ends, and the album actually ends with Joe singing Bang Bang. So once again, maybe in 2019, it's a little hard to listen to because of all the violence we have. But I very much commend the boys for throwing some stuff in there that has some lyrical depth to it. That's going to take me to my favorite tracks. I'm going to be stereotypical here. It's the 3 singles. It's Photograph, it's Rock of Ages, it's Foolin. I loved those songs when I was 11. I still love them when I'm 48. The rest of the songs are fine. There's not really a bad song on here. Some of them are just hard rocking. The lyrics aren't much. The two I mentioned with the lyrics are great. Die Hard the Hunter and Billy's Got a Gun. So you've got a mixture of things here, and with that comes my overall grade. I'm going to give this an 8.0. It's tremendous for what it is, right? I know some people don't like Def Leppard. They think they're glam metal. They hated that term, by the way. I think there's some substance to them. I definitely think they're excellent musicians, and they're still rocking today. And their follow-up album to this, Hysteria, will be coming up in a few weeks. And that's one of my all-time favorite albums of the 80s. I had 3 different cassettes of that thing growing up because 2 of them broke. I played them so much. But that's going to do it for today. Appreciate you stopping by. If you liked what you saw, hit that big red subscribe button, and I will see you soon.